So one of my favorite things about Escape from Tarkov across all the different wipes has been being able to take a weapon that may not be considered super endgame or super meta and put a ridiculous amount of rubles into it, fully kit it out, and make it something that is still very good to use. That's just something I've enjoyed a lot about the game. And with this wipe of Escape from Tarkov with the Recoil overhaul, this has actually been a lot more viable for a lot more weapons. So that brings us to the weapon I want to go over in this video, which is a fully kitted MPX. Now this is a 9mm SMG. 9mm really hasn't been that great in some more recent wipes, but because of all the ammo changes mixed with the recoil changes, I think a fully kitted MPX in the mid game can actually be really good. And I think we're still in the early to mid game for this wipe of EFT, so I think this weapon is actually super good, even though it's very expensive. And even though this build is way too expensive for what it is, it still has some pretty ridiculous stats. It's almost as long as a full assault rifle with it built like this. It's silenced. It has 41 ergo with 50 round drum mags and 28 vertical recoil. This thing does not move when you shoot it, and it'll continue to get better until you get the best 9mm ammo. So starting off, we have a 14-inch barrel, which is pretty long for an SMG, but this weapon does also look pretty cool. Then we're going to have front and rear sights. We're going to be using the Magpul M-Bus Gen 2. This just gives some additional ergo. Then on top of that barrel, we're also going to be having the 14-inch M-Lock handguard. And then on top of all this, we're going to have a sight. Now it is a 9mm SMG, so you're probably not going to be using any scopes with it. Any reflex sight, any hollow sight is going to work completely fine with this weapon. And then we're going to be using the MPX Giselle charging handle, gives a little bit additional ergo. And then for the stock, we're going to be using the MPX/MCX retractable stock adapter. On top of that, we're going to have the AR-15 Strike Industries Advanced Receiver Extension Buffer Tube, the red version. Now the red version is actually usually cheaper than the normal black version, but the red version gives some additional buffs to accuracy and muzzle velocity. And because 9mm is such a small cartridge, it's usually not the most accurate at long ranges, but having a slightly higher muzzle velocity can actually help at longer range fights. Then on top of that, we're using the AR-15 Magpul Mo carbine stock, and then on that, you have the rubber butt pad. This is going to be the best mix of ergo and recoil. Then for the pistol grip, you're either going to be using the HK ergo or you're going to be using the Growless. They both give the exact same amount of ergo, just get whichever one is cheaper or whichever one looks cooler. Then for the mag, we're going to be using the 50 round drum mag. Now you can get 41 round stick mags, but using 9mm, you want the 50 rounders. Then for the grip, we're going to be using the 4.1 inch rail, and on that, we're going to be using the Stark SE5. This again is going to be the best mix of recoil and ergo. Then for the tactical device, we're going to be using the M-Lock mount. Then on that, any tactical device you want. I'm just using the Ball Pro, but you can use whatever one you like. Then for the suppressor, we're just going to be using the Osprey 9. Best sound suppressor. You don't need to use any muzzle devices for the suppressor to go on. But that's the entirety of the build. Way overpriced for what it is, but at the end of the day, Escape from Tarkov is really fun because you can take any weapon you like to use, put a ridiculous amount of money and attachments on it, and make it a usable weapon. And with this wipe, with the recoil changes, with ammo being much more hard to get, this thing's actually pretty good right now, especially since at rank 3 Peacekeeper, which is one of the early rank 3 traders you can get based upon level, you can actually start to buy AP 6.3, and AP 6.3 is actually a really good round compared to how hard it is to get other rounds in the game right now. You need rank 3 Prapper to be able to buy PS ammo for 7.62, which was a starter round in previous wipes. So AP 6.3 is actually really good. This weapon is obviously a laser beam, so if you want to spend a lot of rubles for it, a pretty fun weapon to use, I definitely recommend giving this a try. But that's all I want to go over, so thanks for watching.
Ноги в руки и на промыслы, братва. Лёгкий даун, дел.